was a time I used to call you on my very own. We were so happy, woman.
Hey everyone, and welcome to Boogie Mama Riffs. Today we'll be doing a review on Led Zeppelin Coda Deluxe Edition. And last time I got a bunch of good comments about Led Zeppelin 2 Deluxe, so I thought I'd do another one. So for those of you who don't know, Coda is a compilation album, and it was released in 1982, November 26, about 2 years after John Bonham sadly passed away. Coda means a passage that ends a musical piece. So that was Jimmy Page being a little bit smart, as he was, and because this was the last album they did, he called it Coda. So Coda was released to honour contractual obligations with Atlantic Records. Even though they had their own label, Swan Song, they also had to bring out yet another album that Atlantic were waiting for. So I'd just like to share a couple of things about that. Was that, and I know this sounds sadly obvious, that when your drummer passes away, you've got to either replace them or how are you going to make an album? And an album was due from the band. So what they actually did is, two of the tracks, We're Gonna Groove and I Can't Quit You Babe, were actually, the drums were taken from a live recording from Albert Hall in 1970. But Pagey called them one studio track, which was We're Gonna Groove, and the other one, I Can't Quit You Baby, called that a rehearsal. So technically they weren't new studio tracks, but what can you do when you don't have a drummer anymore? So I think if no one told you they were actually a mix of studio and live recordings, no one would have known. But I think they're both awesome songs. And there was another reason why they decided to bring this out 2 years after John Bonham passed away, was that there are a lot of bootlegs circulating. So don't tell Peter Grant, like, I know it's just a joke, but yeah, Peter Grant was big on not having Zeppelin bootleg, but man, wouldn't you love to have like the full collection of their bootlegs? But shh, don't tell anyone. So that's what's happening. All these bootlegs were being circulated around from live concerts, people and outtakes, and that people were collecting. So Pagey thought, well, they might as well release their remaining studio recordings from 1968 to 1979. And my favourite track on there would have to be Darlene. That is the best song on that original Coda. And that was recorded in 1978 at Polar Studios for the recording of In Through the Outdoor. And there were some other songs on there as well as on the compilation that some people may not know where the recordings come from. A song named Poor Tom, and that's from the Led Zeppelin 3 sessions. Walter's Walk was left over from the Houses of the Holy album. And then when you flip it over to side 2, so really meaning it's one CD now, but the side 2 of the record, side 2 contains 3 In Through the Outdoor outtakes or tracks that were left off In Through the Outdoor, and a solo from John Bonham, their drummer. And that was the Bonzo's Mantra was recorded in Switzerland in 1976, and that was to showcase, you may have heard that at the start of the intro to this video, that was to showcase John Bonham's absolute ridiculous drumming skills, and he also used a harmonizer effect on his drumming there. Now when we go over from the regular Coda to the 2015 Deluxe Edition, and this is where it really gets interesting for me. On the CD you get the original CD and then you get 2 extras. So in my opinion this is the best one out of all the Deluxe editions, is Coda. And one of the songs is If It Keeps On Raining, also known as When the Levee Breaks, and that actually has different drums and different vocals. It was before they obviously re-recorded the drums in the hallway at Headley Grange, and everyone knows it has that massive drum sound, so they replaced it with that. But I personally, I hope I don't get any negative comments down here on the comments section, but I personally prefer this version. I know maybe it's because after years and years of hearing the same versions, but I think If It Keeps On Raining, that version of Levee Breaks is good. It's sort of just, it's a little bit faster paced during the verse and then a bit slower paced during the chorus. So it's just mixed up, and I like that version of it. That was the original take they did of that. Another song is Baby Come On Home. That you would have heard that in the introduction, and that was recorded in 1968. And I remember reading something where Pagey said that the reason why Baby Come On Home didn't make it on Led Zeppelin 1 was because they were working on it for a while and they couldn't quite get the harmonies right in the chorus, so they decided to leave it off Led Zeppelin 1. But it's a cool track. It's got Jonesy playing the organ. And another one of my favourite songs on that, this is like the album of my favourite tracks, is Travelling Riverside Blues. Love that song. And that one was a live track as well, recorded live in the BBC studios in 1968, I believe. Could be 1969, actually. And my favourite Led Zeppelin song of all, drum roll please, my favourite Led Zeppelin song of all, Hey Hey, What Can I Do, is only on this one. It's not on the original Coda, it's only on the deluxe version. Hey Hey, What Can I Do was recorded in 1970, and it was actually released as a B-side to the single, and this is the first time it was released officially other than a box set in 1995. There are another two tracks on the deluxe edition which were slightly different. Four Hands, which is another name for Four Sticks, and Friends. They were actually recorded in 1970 with the Bombay Orchestra in India, and you can hear from when one of the Indian musicians does the count in. And so this was almost like a prototype before Page and Plant minus Jonesy in the 90s, when they did a lot of world music, you could say, with Indian influences. They were already doing this back in 1972. They re-recorded Four Hands and Friends, or Four Sticks and Friends, with the Indian orchestra in background. So, and it reminds me of one of the things they say about the Page and Plant Unleaded tour, that the infamous statement that John Paul Jones got up in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame and said, I'm glad my friends finally remembered my phone number. So, as I've said maybe previously on this channel, I'm not sure, that it only took an entire orchestra to replace Jonesy. Another one of my favourite songs that you would have heard on the introduction is St. Tristan's Sword, and that's one from Zeppelin, the recording of Led Zeppelin 3 Outtakes, and that was in 1970. Great song, just instrumental, but really a great track. I like that. That's one of my faves as well, is St. Tristan's Sword. And the last song I'd like to talk about is Everybody Makes It Through, I believe it's called. And another way to say it is In the Light is the title they went with. But Everyone Makes It Through was recorded in 1974, and in my opinion this is one of the best versions of In the Light, or Everybody Makes It Through. There's a few different titles of it. Hopefully in the near future I'm going to do a review on what's called alternate graffiti. So it's the outtakes from physical graffiti, and it actually has some different versions of In the Light. So I've heard, as far as I know, most of the versions of In the Light, but this one, it has like two different keyboard parts, and when they went with the final release on physical graffiti, they went with just the one piano at the start, or organ at the start. But I really think the bit with the two pianos really filled it in, and that song just keeps on giving. I was listening to it last night. So I said this before, out of all the deluxes, this is the best. Led Zeppelin Coda, 3 CD. I bought it from Sanity back when they were alive. Oh, sorry, bought it from Sanity Music back when they were a thing. And I'd like to just finish with this statement now about Led Zeppelin Coda Deluxe Edition is, and this is quoting someone from the internet named Stephen I can't remember his name, sorry. He said, it's a good snapshot of much of what made Led Zeppelin such a great band. How cool is that? So thanks for watching Boogie Mama Riffs, and I'll see you next time.